I'm not sure, bro. Uh,
Have you ever seen a press conference erupt into pure mayhem? Are you ready to dive into the raw, unfiltered clash between Gervonta "Tank" Davis and Lamont Roach that shook the very foundations of boxing decorum? Gervonta Davis stepped onto the stage with a swagger that filled the room like electricity. Every eye in the house zeroed in on him as he paced the carpeted floor, muscles coiled, ready to strike. Across the room, Lamont Roach sat with a calm that seemed almost out of place, his gaze steady, betraying little of the fire he held inside. The tension was thick enough to slice with a knife. And then it snapped. In one swift motion, Tank seized a chair and launched it toward Roach, sending the crowd into a frenzy. The moment the chair left Tank's hand, pandemonium broke loose. Security flooded the stage like a tidal wave, their urgent shouts clashing with the roar of the audience. Lamont's supporters leapt to their feet, arms raised, ready to storm the ring. In that instant, the press conference became more than words. It became a battleground. Cameras flashed, capturing each furious expression, each gasp of disbelief, each heartbeat racing to the pace of violence.
I'm definitely not sure, but hopefully we could get it before. Nah, it probably won't be this year.
Looking back, boxing press conferences have a storied past of heated exchanges and broken chairs. In 1997, one promoter famously hurled a water bottle instead of a chair, and papers still mention that as mild by today's standards. Fight fans know that every press event is a story unfolding, a chance to see what lies beneath the gloves. Big data from past bouts shows that 70% of major title fights ignite with at least one heated press moment. That statistic proves the business thrives on drama as much as it does on jabs and knockouts.
It probably won't be this year.
Is that the one you want next?
Yeah, it's definitely the one I want next.
Lamont Roach isn't the type to back down from a challenge. As Tank's chair sailed past, Roach rose, shoulders squared, eyes narrowing into slits of resolve. His supporters surged forward, but a phalanx of security held them at bay. Roach leaned forward, voice low, yet carrying across the chaos, a promise to reclaim what he believed was rightfully his. In the blink of an eye, he vanished into the backstage corridors, leaving an echo of defiance reverberating through the room. Fans and commentators scrambled to interpret the scene. Some argued Davis had lost his cool, betraying a champion's nerves. Others claimed Roach had masterminded every provocation, baiting Tank until the champion snapped. A traditional boxing analyst questioned if modern fighters lack the respect once shown at face-offs decades ago. He reminded viewers of the old days when a handshake meant honor, not prelude to a chair toss.
I think it's dangerous for him to go back in there and fight Lamont. I think Lamont is a hell of a fighter. I can see that going left, so he better be on his A game.
Behind the scenes, whispers circulated of backstage confrontations earlier that morning. One insider insisted Roach cornered Davis near the buffet, accusing him of ducking challenges and relying on fame instead of skill. Tank, fueled by coffee and adrenaline, retorted with a string of barbed insults about Roach's record and the size of his hometown crowd. Those words, spoken in a cramped hallway, were but kindling for the blaze to come. When the announcer finally regained control and signaled the event's resumption, the energy in the room felt different, charged, unsettled, electric. Journalists scrambled for quotes, but no one wanted to speak into a microphone that might be the next projectile. The broadcast cut to split screens showing Tank's clenched fists and Roach's steady stare. For a moment, television captured pure boxing drama, raw, unscripted, unfiltered. From a distance, the fight promoter watched with furrowed brow, calculating lost sponsorships and ticket refunds. He knew controversy sells pay-per-view buys. Big data proves rematches following riots rake in 25% more revenue on average. Yet, he also knew sponsors cringe at broken chairs and bloodied carpets. Balancing profit and reputation is a tightrope walked blindfolded.
I'm gonna beat his ass for y'all talking. For real. So y'all better be quiet. I don't give a fuck if y'all is quiet. Fuck out of here, nigga.
Roach's camp released a statement hours later, accusing Davis of abandoning sportsmanship and resorting to violence when words failed him. They called on the Boxing Commission to impose fines and suspensions. In contrast, Tank's team praised his passion, framing the chair toss as a display of unbridled determination. They blamed Roach for pushing the champion beyond breaking point, insisting that in the ring, Tank would channel that fury into delivering justice. The historical lens shows that champions often resort to spectacle when under pressure. Mike Tyson once headbutted his opponent during a weigh-in. Muhammad Ali famously proclaimed he'd float like a butterfly, sting like a bee, with equal parts bravado and poetry. Tank's chair was heavy on reality, but the message was clear. Respect is earned in the ring, not whisper-driven press rooms. As fight night looms, training camps intensify. Videos leaked of Davis shadowboxing with chairs lashed to his gloves, a symbolic gesture of retribution. Meanwhile, Roach's gym buzzes with clips of him deflecting wooden objects mid-combination. Each man uses the chair incident as fuel, bending it into a narrative of vengeance and honor.
Fuck out of here! We don't give a fuck about none of that!
Oddsmakers have adjusted their lines. Tank opened as a heavy favorite, but after the press conference melee, Roach's numbers improved slightly. Bettors respect a warrior who stands his ground amid chaos. In the oddly scientific realm of fight betting, emotions and raw moments tilt percentages as much as punch stats do. A few days before the bout, both fighters attended a public workout. Tank arrived with an entourage armed with towels and first aid kits, an almost comical display of preparedness. Roach walked in alone, gloves slung over his shoulder, a look of quiet focus. Cameras again clicked, but this time no chairs appeared. Only the promise of a storm set to unleash under bright lights. On fight night, the arena thrummed. Every fan bore the memory of that press conference riot. The first bell tolled like a starting pistol for vengeance. Tank charged out of his corner with the raw energy of a man possessed, every punch thrown with the weight of that chair. Roach danced on his toes, weaving and slipping, drawing the champion into a ballet of counterpunches and feints.
We don't give a fuck about none of that! Not at all. Never. Nothing's gonna get fucked up.
Round after round, both warriors traded blows and barbs. The crowd roared at each near knockdown, each pivot that turned potential disaster into triumph. Commentators struggled to keep pace with the lightning speed of exchanges. Amid the violence, the story of respect, provocation, and legacy played out on blood-streaked canvas. In the penultimate round, Tank connected with a vicious left hook that brought Roach to a knee. For a fleeting moment, time froze, echoes of that press conference chair toss resonating in every heart. Roach rose, eyes blazing with defiance, and answered with a crisp counter that snapped Tank's head back. The tension soared, reminding everyone that fights are never won before the final bell. When the judges' scorecards were read, the verdict lay in the balance. Both fighters had honored their commitments to fight inside the ropes what they had started on the stage. The crowd waited for the decision, breath held in collective suspense. In the end, one man's hand was raised, the victor by the slenderest of margins. Yet, both left their mark on history, their reputations forged in the fires of contention.
What do I look like here? Nigga, we don't give a fuck about none of that. Hey, we talking, sir. Okay. For sure.
For boxing purists, this rematch will be talked about for years, a testament to the sport's blend of skill and storyline. Young fighters will study the tape, not just for footwork, but for the drama that unfolded before a single punch was thrown. Promoters will schedule future events with chairs on standby, just in case the old ways of shaking hands give way to the new era of flying furniture. So, what have we learned from this spectacle? That respect in boxing is measured in fists and fractures, not polite nods. That a single chair can change the narrative of two careers forever. And that, when passion ignites, even tradition bows to the raw pulse of the moment. The lights of Fight Week dimmed and flared like a celestial dance, each event marking another beat in the growing drumroll of anticipation. From the moment the rematch was officially announced, the air crackled with possibility. Who would bend history to their will? As the boxers emerged for their final media appearances, shadows under their eyes told stories of countless sparring rounds, iron will, and dreams forged in sweat. In the gym, video analysts pored over every angle of the first fight, noting how Roach's left hook seemed to sneak through Tank's guard on the inside and how Tank's right hand held the latent power to change fortunes with a single twist. Big data from tracking systems showed Tank's punch output dipped by 15% in the middle rounds, while Roach's accuracy climbed above 50%, numbers that would now serve as tactical blueprints for both camps.
Pie gonna be mean, Slim. That humble pie gonna be mean, Slim. For sure. That humble pie gonna be mean, Slim.
A ritual dripping with tradition and menace. Fighters stepped onto the scale amid camera flashes, each tick of the numbers echoing in the hushed silence. Roach tipped the scale at 134.8 pounds, just under the lightweight limit, his expression stoic as ever. Tank appeared seconds later, 134.9 pounds on the dot, chest heaving with barely contained aggression. The rules demanded no overage, no excuses. This was the moment when discipline met destiny. When the two men came face to face, their eyes locked in a silent dialogue. Respect, yes, but more so the unspoken challenge to settle scores where it truly mattered. The weigh-in crowd, packed shoulder to shoulder, erupted into cheers and chants. Some waved handmade posters referencing the chair incident, others brandished towels and gloves, but all shared one desire: to witness history in motion. Amid the roar, a veteran journalist remarked that press conferences once ended with polite applause and journalists retiring to bars for whiskey. Now, fighters treated face-offs like gladiatorial preludes, each glance a threat, each breath a promise of violence. A fun fact from boxing lore. In 1927, two rivals fought bare-knuckle in a barn after a press event spiraled out of control.
You bring your mother?
She right there. You ain't hear her ask, why the fuck was you leave me?
What?
I mean, that's just how.
Chairs were not involved then, but someone did throw a shovel. Tradition, it seemed, had always embraced chaos. Back in the locker rooms, final preparations reached fever pitch. Trainers taped wrists with methodical precision, whispering last-minute strategies into each ear. Feints to draw out the jab, baiting tactics to lure the opponent into overcommitting. Some cornermen carried vials of essential oils, insisting that scent could sharpen focus. Others swore by the old-school ritual of slapping the boxer's gloves against their legs, awakening muscle memory. Roach's camp employed a data-driven approach, monitoring his heart rate variability to ensure peak readiness, while Tank's corner doubled down on experience, trusting instincts honed over 100 professional rounds. Each method had its merits. Both fighters had reached this point through sweat, sacrifice, and an unwavering belief in their own path.
Out her mouth, straight up.
Why you bring her?
What you mean why I bring her? She love to see me whoop ass.
Meanwhile, the gambling world buzzed with fresh odds. Early lines favored Tank by 3-1, reflecting the public's enduring faith in his knockout power. After the press conference melee, Roach's odds improved marginally, now hovering at 2.5-1, as bettors began to respect the challenger's tenacity. 10 days before the fight, a surge of last-minute wagers shifted $200,000 onto Roach, driving the lines down further and igniting a frenzy of speculative chatter. Oddsmakers cautioned that such swings often signaled a brewing upset. In the age of big data, every dollar wagered became a poll of collective confidence, a measure of who the world truly believed would reign victorious. The night before the fight, both camps attended a clandestine pre-fight gathering at an unused ballroom down the strip. The event, more of a shadow conference than a party, featured ghost-like projections of past champions and panel discussions on peak performance. Roach mingled with strength coaches and former rivals, picking up tips on countering power punchers. Tank circulated among sports psychologists and nutrition experts, debating whether ketogenic diets could enhance endurance under duress. At one table, a retired champion mused that boxing had always been as much mental as physical. The man who could stare into his opponent's soul and find no fear held the true advantage. Skeptics questioned whether such talk mattered within the ropes, where only bone, muscle, and will collided. On fight day, the arena swelled like a living organism, the crowd's heartbeat erupting in chants as the two fighters strode from opposite tunnels. Hot air, sweat, and anticipation blended into a heady perfume. A lone bagpiper piped a mournful tune as Tank's entrance music blasted through the speakers, a juxtaposition of raw aggression and ancient ritual. Roach followed with a simpler procession, barefoot on the carpet, his trainer carrying a single black duffel bag, a symbol of minimalism and focus. In that moment, the crowd split in allegiance but united in desire. They craved spectacle, they hungered for action, and above all, they demanded drama. The opening bell rang like a cannon shot, and Tank surged forward, unleashing a flurry of jabs meant to test the waters. Roach conversely circled, eyes flicking from glove to glove, wary of where the true threat lay. Midway through the first round, Roach landed a crisp 1-2 combination that snapped Tank's head back, his first clean hit. The crowd roared in approval, voices merging into a single thunderous entity. Beneath the roar, commentators noted that this sequence mirrored their first encounter's surprising twists. Yet now, the stakes were higher, and both men understood that early success could breed complacency. As the lights dimmed on the ring, one truth stood clear. Boxing thrives on conflict, on tension rising until the moment of release. From the chaotic press conference where a chair flew to the brutal ballet under the ropes, Tank and Roach delivered a spectacle both unforgettable and emblematic of the sport's enduring appeal. Their story, filled with skepticism, tradition, high-tech analysis, and raw human drama, reminds us why we keep coming back. For the moment when two wills collide and only one emerges victorious. If this electrifying saga has you on the edge of your seat, don't let the story end here. Subscribe now, hit that notification bell, and leave a comment sharing your take. Who should rise again, and who deserves a final reckoning? Your voice could shape the next chapter in this legendary rivalry.